Be me, 4 or 5 years old. Vacation in some Catholic town in Central America. Bored out of my mind during Mass. Walk out of the church while my mom prays or something. There is flea market across the street, full of colorful stuff. Spend most of the day looking at toys and people talk in a language I don't understand. While I'm walking on the plaza looking at kites, something grabs me from behind and lifts me up. It didn't pick me up, I was ripped off the floor. Close my eyes for a second, scared. Open them again. Sitting on the counter of the church's tourist trap. This isn't my house. It will be now, says the store clerk. Minutes later my mom walks in, tears on her eyes and having a panic attack. Go back inside the church, finish listening to Mass while she sobs. She lost sight of me for 10 minutes. I'm sure I was gone for hours. 25 years later the store clerk's voice still haunts me. Be me 3 or 4. Really old lady comes to my house to talk to my mom. Oldest looking person I'd ever seen, older than my grandma. She scared me a little. Mom calls me into kitchen. Anon, this is your grandma, maternal grandmother's maiden name. Old lady is nice, she gives me a small box with ribbon on it. I'd been scared of her but she gave me a present so she must be nice. This is one of my first memories. My whole life I figured I'd met my great-grandmother but I could never remember what was in the box. 20 years later. Visiting cemetery with my mom for one of her friends. Your great-grandparents are buried here too. Takes me to their graves. Great-grandma died in the 70s. I was born in the 90s. Tell my mom I remembered meeting her and described the experience. All my great-grandparents were dead before I was born. She doesn't remember this happening or any old lady or any gift. This has bothered me for years now. Did I just make the whole thing up? Be me at 13. Just discovered masturbation. Do it several times a day. Not enough. Find instructions to summon a suck in a spic forum. Decide to do it when family is asleep because horny. Start having erotic dreams. Don't have to masturbate anymore, I don't feel the need. Start having sleep paralysis and I am always sleepy at school. I remember suck contract again. Ask the forum for solution. Someone answers that the only way is to make a contract with a second entity but I have to offer something more valuable. Make the new contract. Sleep problems stop. Start masturbating again. I have 3 stories. Only the first one might count as a proper childhood memory but they all seem kinda related so I'm sharing them all. The first story. Be me around 10 to 11 or so. Live in a house on a small hill overlooking other houses. Always sleep next to window. One day wake up probably around 2 to 3 a.m., look out window and see a large spotlight moving randomly over yards and rooftops. No noise like a helicopter or anything. Perfectly silent. Eventually the source of the spotlight comes very close to the ground, maybe only 40 or 50 feet up. It's just a glowing orb, neither especially bright nor especially dim, maybe 12 feet wide. Starts quickly moving away from my house while still keeping low to the ground and eventually disappears. Try to wake up mom and tell her I saw a UFO and ask her what else it might have been if not a UFO. Mom brushes it off and says it was probably a helicopter or I was dreaming. Go back to sleep. The third story. Be me around 14 to 15. Late one fall evening after school. Dark outside. Look out front door and see rain. Mom comes home, and, to my surprise, when she opens the door I don't actually hear any rain. Look outside again. Still see rain, but now that I'm paying attention it seems less like proper rain and more like it's just faint lines of light moving down like rain. Ask mom to take a look at it. She can't see anything. Go outside and stand in it. Realize that it isn't everywhere, just in a small column maybe 10 or 12 feet in diameter just in front of our door. It stays there all night but is gone in the morning. It's all plausibly just visual hallucinations of some sort, like phosphins. But there was so much three-dimensionality to it in each case, and stability in the last case, that I think you'd need a little more than that to explain it fully. This has reminded me of my own story. Me, 6 to 7 years old I think, mid-90s. Live in Slough, England, absolute shithole. Lunchtime at primary school, hanging out near one of a few small raised garden area finding snails with my brother and a few friends as we often did. Find snail with a shell as big as my hand, super unmistakably giant snail, would be giant even by adult standards. Brother and friends see it too. Pick it up with both hands because it's heavy, snail retracts inside. Fast forward to some time in the past decade. No recollection of telling teachers or parents about this snail, no memory of trying to find it again. Asked brother, do you remember that giant snail we found with a shell as big as our hands? He reacts as if I've just helped him remember a forgotten childhood memory. He recalls the exact spot down to the minute detail without me reminding him. He remembers nothing else. There's no way I would have found a giant snail and not told my parents about it so we could try take it home, but when I asked them about it they said they'd never heard us mention it. I wonder if my memories were wiped by it. Be me this morning. Wake up extremely horny. Try to fight it but lose control. Go to /b/ and start jerking off to everything like crazy. Actually start crying in the middle of fapping due to lack of self-control. Continue jerking while crying. About to come. Wake up, but for real this time. It was all a dream. Didn't come after all. Got a boner but no urges whatsoever. What the fuck? The second story. Be me around 12 to 13. Walking around the house playing one sunny spring weekend. Suddenly feel dizzy and sit down. A very bright orb grows from a pinpoint right in front of me to about 2.5 feet in diameter. It sparkles like a multifaceted jewel. Although it's very bright, the brightness doesn't hurt to look at all. At first assume it's just something happening with my eyes, but, when I tilt my head and look around it, it seems very three-dimensional. Suddenly it speeds away from me and I try to chase after it. See it float straight through my bedroom window and down to the yard where it shrinks back into a pinpoint and disappears. Don't tell anyone, just assume it was a hallucination or maybe a fairy or something. Be me. Be 10. I'm super obsessed with video games, especially my 3DS. My parents said that bedtime was at 8 p.m., so I was supposed to be in bed at 8:30-ish. After my parents tuck me in or whatever, I hear them go into the living room to continue watching TV. I decide that instead of going to bed, I was going to try to stay up to play my 3DS since they kept it in a kitchen adjacent to the living room. I look at the clock, and it's about 9 p.m., I look away and blink, look back and it instantly says 12:04 a.m., WTF. Did I just fall asleep or did this happen to anyone else? I've never had this happen to me again, but I have heard from others that they have had similar time skips.